again, could pick up the ball and kind of help us move this along in terms of implementing aspects of the. So I'm here today. Let you know that we would like to get the approval of the Board of Selectmen to reconstitute that advisory committee. And provide you with any updates as we go along. But again, this is sort of an ongoing process where the advisory committee will be a resource for planning and zoning primarily. Planning and zoning will retain all decision-making approvals. The advisory committee has no authority to move ahead and do anything. So that's sort of the overview. Any questions?
I was wondering, what were the rough dates that the group existed prior? Like, do you remember roughly?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was essentially from April through June 2021.
Okay, and were there any summaries or,
Yeah, I mean, the byproduct, the output from it is the affordable housing plan that is part of the plan of conservation and development. So that
can I get a copy of that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think
It's
I've.
online.
Is it online?
It should be
Okay.
online, I believe.
It got presented back to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I believe we had some tweaks and modifications to it, but eventually that's what got approved for inclusion.
Okay. And it actually in the bulletin, because I went back to search to see how far back it started, and it was around March of 2021. It's in the
Right.
bulletin that it was advertised for individuals interested in being on the group.
Right.
And then about a month or so later, there was a follow-up about that you had your first meeting.
Yes.
So yes, if you want to look in the previous bulletins, you can go on the town website under
Okay.
the archived bulletins, and you'll find it in there.
I'm curious as to why in June of 2021, why did the group disband at that time?
Well, part of this, and maybe Harry can talk, we received a grant to have outside support. And so Hiram was that support, but the grant expired at the end of June. So that became our forced march. It was more of an arbitrary tied to the funding availability, as opposed to we had to get it done by then.
And do you remember what was the state mandate that there had to be each town had to have some sort of plan? Or?
It's I think 830G.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 830G is the affordable housing statute and requirement. 830J is a requirement that going forward, every time you update your plan of conservation and development, you need to include an updated version, and I believe every 5 years we have to keep that going.
Right now, your focus will be slightly different because you're not really working on planning and conservation document, but because the state is talking about affordable housing across the board here.
It's
I
a huge
think
issue, right?
you're gonna be more along, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking your focus is staying on top of
Correct.
what the state is doing or not doing and how it can potentially impact the town,
Correct.
correct? And then you'd be advisory back to the P and Z as to what
Right.
they're
So
doing.
the intent going in wasn't necessarily how can we become compliant under 830G. There's a requirement that if you're below 10% of your housing stock being
Right.
deemed affordable, you're not compliant, which means that any developer can come in and essentially, as long as they meet health and safety and fire code requirements, do not have to go through the planning and zoning process. They get to do it.
Right.
So part of this was to be proactive, to develop a framework that we can engage any developer who wanted to do that. So we still had sort of fresh in mind, Rocky Corner, Green Haven, whatever name it was going by. We had that sort of in the back of our mind, and so we wanted to be better prepared as a practical matter, but also we had the statute requirement to have this.
Now, I could be totally wrong about this, but it's my understanding that developers sometimes are not interested in Bethany because of the, like the right, and the lack of,
Right.
like the investment that they'd have to put in for the,
They need
um,
service.
the,
They need service.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
That's
that's
accurate?
a limitation.
I mean, from my experience, yes, Hiram, I
Protects
think you
the
can
town.
speak to.
What
a
percent
little bit
is
more
It's rural
directly.
character.
Oh, well,
Makes sense.
that's your opinion.
I can say that developers that are interested in, significant density and things that you might find in a more urban situation, those developers are not gonna be interested in Bethany. I think as Alex pointed out, the idea here of the plan was to find out what is compatible in terms of density and design and location for a town like Bethany, as opposed to something that you might find in Naugatuck or New Haven or Bridgeport or something like that. The whole idea here is to try to take some of the things that are in the plan that was presented and prepared and adopted. And see which of those items we could move forward with. The real issue here, as far as I'm concerned, if I could say this, is that the idea here is not to necessarily satisfy particular developers. The idea is to satisfy the need that exists in the town for people that could come here, whether it's teachers, or whether it's firemen, or whether it's guys that mow the lawn or whatever, and have a place that they can call home in town without having to travel, long distances.
Right.
That's the idea.
That makes sense.
And, yeah,
What's the current percentage in Bethany of affordable housing?
I think it's like
Less than
1/10.
1%, I think so,
1/10,
yeah, it's less than.
0.2%.
110?
It's
I
very.
mean, we're way under 1%.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
trailer park is in town.
so it's approximate, you would say,
Yeah.
is it zero?
No.
We're close to zero, but
But
the
it's-
trailer park does not count because it's on land owned by somebody else. And it's
Right.
not deed restricted, so that,
I would just say, I just received an approval of a moratorium in the town of Orange. We thought we were well below the 10% as well. And when I went through the analysis and did the application, we ended up getting the 4-year moratorium plus enough credits. Where we're 9 points shy of getting another 4 years of a moratorium. So when I suspect you're well below.
We're-
We're not even
but
close
you
to
might,
that.
but you might be higher than you think based upon,
we might be,
Yeah.
but. To Hiram's point, at least my focus is much more. I know affordable housing is what the state is pushing. In my mind, I want us to think about sustainable housing. And when I first did my door knocking, running for P and Z, one of the common things I heard from elder citizens in the town. We love it, we want to stay. We got a 2,500-foot house, I got 2 acres. Me and my husband, we can't maintain it. Is there any place that we can move to that is smaller, more manageable? So it wasn't even an affordability, it was just,
Size.
we can't maintain this.
Yeah,
So you've got on that one end, you have no place for people who love the town to move. On the other end, and I can speak from personal experience, my son who grew up in town was living in Hamden, desperately wanted to come back in. It took him a year and a half to find a place. Finally did find a place, but within 24 hours, 14 different offers on the house. Fortunately, he was successful through the whole process. But there's a total lack of housing stock to get young families in. So from a sustainability point of view, we really have to have the ability to have new blood coming into the town. And as people age out of their homes, have someplace that can go.
right, like a lifespan thing.
Well, it could or could, I mean, it could be not so much assisted living, but being able to move into a community that might be, like a homeowners association where they get together and they have joint maintenance, they do all that stuff. And instead of 25,000 square feet, they have 1,000 or 1,100 square feet they're trying to maintain.
You might not know this, but didn't Woodbridge get into some trouble with the 30G thing a few years ago? Do you
There
remember?
was some group from New Haven that was trying to do something in the middle of a residential section. They
still
were being sued for that. Weren't they?
They were, I think they were.
Right?
Yeah,
It was quite, yeah.
that could have been us.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think 10%, I just want to say for the record, I think 10% is a low number, and I I have no problem with, you know, a town like Bethany having options that are affordable.
It would be-
I don't have any issue with that whatsoever,
Right, it would be great, but again, it's really gonna.
or
be driven-
sustainable, should I say, I'll say sustainable from now on.
Well, I want to think of it that way because quite honestly, when you talk about affordable housing, it sets off a mental image to a lot of people about what we're trying to do
Right,
and what we're trying
unfortunately,
to.
that mental image is often very skewed and wrong and
Correct.
discriminatory, and has nothing to do with what affordable housing actually is.
It has, sometimes it
you
has a
know.
very negative connotation to
Right.
it when people hear that word. affordable.
Definitely,
Right.
yeah.
So I mean, affordable from the point of view, of whatever we're doing to meet state requirements, it will be under the guise of affordable housing. The way I'd like to think of what we're trying to do is sustainable housing. We really have to have a plan for how we can have more affordable stock at the front end for new people and stock at the back end for people who want to downsize.
Right.
What are the, it sounds like you want to repeat it because it was a successful committee before. What are the mechanics you're proposing? You guys are gonna handle recruiting and you'll just provide us some names and we'll appoint them?
Well, we really had a incredible group of people. So
I think we worked together last time to put the posting together for the bulletin. And then, yeah,
right, but we do want to keep it manageable. So I do know of the 6 people that were on it, 2 of them, because I've had informal discussions, including with Kim, because Kim, as the chair of planning and zoning, also was sitting on the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. Kim has indicated an interest. I have an interest. Lars Demander was there. He's maxed out. So he said, I'd love to, but no. And then Jamie Sterling has also indicated no. The 2 people I have not talked to because I have not come across them yet. Lauren Sardi, who's a professor of sociology and social science at Quinnipiac University. She was wonderful. And she is younger than the average. I mean, she's in her 40s, which is good to have that perspective. And then the other person was Leslie Higgins-Vittle, who's an affordable elderly housing person. She works in that area. So they brought incredible content and perspective. I'd love to have them on it again. The question is, how many more, if any, that we would invite? I would like to have an odd number so
Yeah.
that if we have a situation.
Do you think 7 is a good number?
7 worked if we could have maintained everybody. I mean, currently, right now, we have, for the people who've indicated they want to continue, we have 1 Republican, 1 unaffiliated. Leslie is a registered Democrat, so we would have another one there, and then Lauren is another unaffiliated. So I don't know how you all feel about the political leanings of unaffiliated voters. We could try to get a 5th. But if we got a 5th, it would either, I think, have to be unaffiliated or independent. Which independent is actually a real party. And so, and very few people are in it, but people say they're independent, but they're not registered.
I mean, maybe the posting could indicate
well,
something.
just like we did with the other positions that we were trying to fill recently, we did indicate what we needed for the position, whether it was an unaffiliated or an independent or.
What we put out there for the general, for the information that they submitted, we asked for them to provide their party
Mhm.
affiliation.
Mhm.
So I think I had a total of 17 people who put their hand up. But we had more than enough representing the various parties. We did not have a lot of unaffiliated or independents, so.
So of the original 6 or so that you had, how many want to continue? Was it 4?
Well, I know for sure 2.
Okay,
I have not did not want to talk to the other 2 until we've had this conversation. If you were receptive to it, then at least I could say the Board of Selectmen is interested in reconstituting. would you want to do that? And then tell you, if we have 4 people and if we need any more, and then the process would be to, put that out there.
Yeah, I think I mean, it sounds like a good idea to me to have the committee and,
In advisory capacity, so
Right.
it's, yeah.
right. Yeah, I'm just trying to, so I guess if, I can only speak for myself, but I would talk to the other people and then if you decide you want to say 7, then ask Paul or, try to get the word out to. And then do the same thing. You probably, if you get more people than you need, then if you could just give us their responses or resumes or whatever they give you and then say why you want to appoint these 7 instead of these 20.
And
or
maybe we
whatever.
can have some alternates. So in case someone resigns or can't do it, you can have someone who could come in.
I mean, I'm not big in terms of the formal structures.
Mhm.
It's advisory. So I don't want to get overly
Right.
structured on this.
Do you picture this being a short-term thing, or do you picture this being
Um, I
like an
think,
ongoing?
I think it might be something for the board of selectmen to think about as sort of a standing advisory capacity. And, we could come up with terms and that sort of thing. But
But
again,
it may-
some of these people were selected because of the expertise that they.
It may help with recruitment, because sometimes if you ask somebody to be on something for life, they'll say no. But if,
And you're also not working under a grant, so you really don't
Yeah.
have a time constraint, so it can,
Oh, yeah.
You know,
so technically, everybody's term will expire when our terms expire in about a year. I mean, it could always be reappointed, or if there's really a need, they could make it a permanent committee by passing an ordinance. So at least you can say, look, you'll definitely be done in about a year.
Well, I think this is more, I don't know if it's a labor of love, but it's a labor of interest. Everybody who was on it was extremely engaged and interested. They brought something very personal to it. And that really helped the process, so. I hear what you're saying, but it would be something that as the board of selectmen changes or doesn't change. It would have to go through some sort of automatic.
Right, just to be fair to that, normally they run concurrent with the board of selectmen or until their successor is appointed. So if the next board of selectmen decided to take no action, theoretically, your successors haven't been appointed, so theoretically you would stay in place until your successor was appointed. But you're correct, it runs concurrent with the board, but then until that next board takes action to replace. So, could be a lifetime, if the board of selectmen never,
Yeah, I'm just thinking sometimes if you said last time, hey, we gotta do this and crank it out in 3 months, people are like, good, I'll put the effort in
Right.
and I'm done.
I think some people may have had that, but
Yeah.
I think it was a positive experience. As I said, we lost one person along the way who decided it wasn't for them. But I won't know until we ask,
Mhm.
and so, if you're comfortable, I will at least extend, reach out to them, find out if they're interested, so I can come back to you and let you know, here's what we've got. Here's what we probably still need, and then get guidance about how you want to proceed.
would one of you like to make a motion to reactivate or reconstitute this group? And then I can work with Alex to.
I'll make that motion. I think that a group like this, I could be wrong, but I envision that it's a benefit to the town to have this information that we could have, but it would be much more difficult to
Yes.
have,
Yeah,
so I think in a lot of ways, it could not only be beneficial to have that information, but potentially help us avoid some, potholes.
it's a hot
You
topic
know.
with the state for sure,
Yeah.
so I think to have a group that's gonna kind of monitor.
Well, and keep in mind that we're coming up on 18 months from now, we have to have an updated plan. So every 5 years, that housing plan has to be updated.
Wow.
Does the state look at the percentage of affordable housing in each town or not really?
They know it, I mean.
Oh, they know.
They ask
Okay.
every year what our.
And
number is,
that's a
but-
database that sits out there.
Yeah.
I don't know, Hiram, if you can tell them where it is, but you can go online and you can
Mhm.
look up Bethany and.
Yeah, I think I've seen that actually.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been any penalty to municipalities, right?
Other than developers can come in and they don't have to
Right,
obey
right,
zoning.
right,
so.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we weren't in compliance with 830J, theoretically, it could begin to impact our ability to apply for grants for anything, not just for housing, but if we're not in compliance. That's a potential.
So do you picture this group providing recommendations to the Board of Selectmen on how to become more?
This is really a resource more for planning and zoning.
Oh, right, for planning and zoning,
Right.
right,
But
that's what I
I'd
meant.
be more than happy for the group or as a spokesperson to come
Updates.
and update Board of Selectmen on a periodic basis.
But we do have a
I'd
motion.
like to second, yeah.
I was just gonna-
I didn't want to interrupt anyway. I want to
So
second
you
your
just need a
motion.
second?
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions or concerns? Because I know they do need to get off to their meeting down the hall,
All
so,
No, we'll hear
okay.
more in the future about potential members.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous, no nays?
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
So Alex, I will work with you, as far as advertising or how you wanna work that, okay? I did pull up the previous one, so
Hopefully, I'll know by the end of this week whether
Okay.
they're interested and then how many.
how we want to advertise.
Openings.
Okay,
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Have a good
sounds
night.
good, thank you. We'll see you in the meeting in a little bit. Next items are the August sixth regular meeting minutes for approval. May I have a
You know, I'm gonna make a
motion?
motion to approve.
Okay, and I need
Yeah, take a
a
second.
second, okay. Any other comments or questions? Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was waiting because she was flipping
I think
pages. I thought-
I'm all set,
You're
yeah,
good?
yes,
I didn't want to jump
Yeah,
the gun. I
thank
saw
you,
you
thank
flipping
you.
pages there. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any
Thank you.
opposed, any nays? Oh, okay, fantastic, those are approved. Next are the regular meeting minutes for September third. May I have a motion to approve, and then in a second we can discuss?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any comments, questions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Unanimous. Next are September 19, a special meeting. May I have a motion to approve in a second, and then we can discuss?
Oh, this is to discuss?
Well, we'll make the motion and then the second, and then we can discuss any corrections or comments or whatever.
All right, I'll move to discuss.
Okay, and then,
Second.
all right, so now any comments, questions, or corrections on September 19th special meeting?
Do you have anything, Bob, or?
Not on this, not on the 19th. no.
You know, I have to apologize because I think I had meant to get some language to you on this.
Okay.
And I just have been so busy that I haven't had a chance to do that.
Okay.
And the only reason I even remember that is because I was looking through the minutes in preparation for this meeting tonight.
Okay.
But. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess in the bigger paragraph where it says that Texera felt she didn't have adequate time to review. I
I think you had given me the wordage to change that to that.
don't know if I did. It's
It
been-
was updated since the
Yes,
first time.
because
we
I think you
read it.
gave me, that's why I changed
Oh.
it to that, because I think that's what you gave me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah,
The,
because you had made the comment,
Right,
and I'm
right,
pretty
right.
sure that's what you sent me.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think the last line was similar to, but the, like, the sentence,
Yeah,
the sentence before is new, I think.
right.
Yeah, so
I think you're right. I
changed it,
think
yeah.
it is slightly different than the first draft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's been such a hectic couple of weeks, but, all right. You don't want to put anything in here about the introduction and all that,
What do you mean?
your introduction to this meeting? There was like you had like a big introduction at this meeting.
At this meeting?
Yeah,
You're listening as a,
at this
Right,
meeting on the
I-
19th.
but introduction as to.
You had like a big introduction where you talked about, you talked about, you,
There were some,
I mean, these are
Preparatory
recorded
comments,
meetings,
is that
so
the
I
right
mean,
word?
they are recorded, so I.
no, I know, I don't, you talked about, you know, we've moved on, the town has moved on, and you were not, you know, and then I tried to say something and you didn't let me talk for, it was like less than 10 seconds. So I just didn't know if that was an oversight on your part, if you prefer not to say anything
Well,
about
the
that.
meetings are recorded, so people can certainly go back and.
Oh, I know,
view the
I know,
meetings.
but-
But this was just the direct items on the
Okay,
agenda. These
okay,
are the direct items on
okay.
the agenda, so,
all right,
okay. Since we've made your corrections from the previous study,
Yes,
we've
yes.
established that, so we're good with those corrections.
yes,
Um, all in
Thank you.
favor of approving? Aye.
I,
second,
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Well, when I do the first
Wait.
motion and whatever, it's so we can
oh,
discuss and
okay,
then
I got
approve.
you, I got you.
Okay, yeah. it's
I'm
the
trying to
one-
multitask,
That's
so
okay,
this is
that's
the vote,
okay.
right?
This is the vote to
That's right.
approve, yeah.
Gotcha,
Aye. Okay,
aye,
unanimous, okay, that is September 19th.
yeah,
Next are the September 24th special meeting, a motion to, discuss and approve.
yeah, I was just thinking, I think we could just move approval of minutes.
Well, it's
And then
the same
second it
meeting.
and then discuss if
Right,
there's
it's
corrections, right?
basically the
Instead of
same,
doing,
yeah,
You could do them all together if there's.
well, I was just
Well, I
saying,
think-
because we've been doing like, have a motion just to discuss it, and then we have another
well,
motion to
when I
approve
say
it.
motion to discuss, it's basically to discuss and approve,
Okay.
is what is the one
You can't-
motion.
There's no deliberation until there's something on the table. In order to put something on the table, you move it, you second
Yeah.
it, and then you discuss it.
And then you can
vote.
approve it.
Or you
But we
postpone.
should only have to have one motion.
it sounds confusing though, because it feels like you're approving the minutes that you might have a question on.
No, you're not.
So
No,
just-
it's, shouldn't be confusing because it's standard process. It's motion,
No,
second,
I got it,
discussion.
I got it, okay,
Yeah.
so we're looking
It's
at
basically this, it's all in one, encompassed
Okay.
in one motion and
Move to
second.
discuss and approve.
so we're looking at the
Okay.
24th, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, September 24th. I don't believe I was there, so, because that was not my meeting, I believe. so.
right, I think you're right, yeah.
Only comment I had is under public comment, Amy Listinsky's name is spelled incorrectly. It's spelled this way.
Okay, hold on one second, let me get there. Yeah, it's hard when I don't.
Yeah, it's spelled phonetically, but it's,
Where was that listed?
the first page under public comment is a list of, speakers.
Oh, I see it, okay, gotcha, yeah, we can fix that, that's easy enough to fix.
Jennifer's just, best with
Yeah.
audio.
You know, I did want to point out, the agenda for today says special meeting instead of regular.
Today is a special meeting, I canceled yesterday's,
Oh, I was a
and because of the,
I just
because
thought
of
we
the
were moving the
election.
regular
You-
meeting
you moved
over.
it- You did, but it becomes a special meeting.
Oh.
Yeah,
because
because,
You can only hold regular meetings on the days that are scheduled that you do annually.
Okay.
Those are your
when
regular.
I give the
All
list
right.
of dates, because that's one of the things in here is the list of dates for next year's meetings.
Right.
And anything we deviate from that
Okay.
list becomes a special meeting, so,
Okay,
yeah. So
thank
then,
you. Okay,
so yes, so September
We'll
4th,
get fussy about that.
do we have the motion and the second for the 24th? We
Yep.
did, okay, any other comments or questions or corrections with
Well, I
regard to
just,
those?
it just, should we include Connie's address as we're fixing Amy's, the spelling of Amy's name?
If you
Yeah,
can
because
tell it.
yeah.
Do you know?
You know it.
I do not know what it is
Oh.
off the, head.
She's on the corner, but I just don't know if it's Fairwood.
let me see if I.
Oh,
She's on the corner, she's
Johnson.
No, her address.
on the corner of Peck and Fairwood down here, but I just don't know what the number is, so I can look that up and we can add it to the minutes, that's not a problem.
Yeah, because she definitely said it during the meeting.
Okay, yeah, we can add that, that's not a
Just
problem.
for consistency.
Yeah.
Yep, no,
Yes.
yep,
Thank you.
yeah, I will verify that tomorrow and add that in, before we mark them approved, so. Okay, so those two corrections. Anything else?
No,
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, fantastic. Last set of minutes are the October 1st regular board meeting. May I have a motion to discuss and approve? I'm gonna be specific, so we know. Do I have a motion
yes,
first? Okay, and,
Second,
okay, so any comments, questions, or corrections for that set?
I think I have something here. Um. On the second, no, not on the second page, on the, they're not numbered, so it's hard, but, the page that
Is
starts.
there an item number? Is there an item?
October 1st, right?
Item number.
I think it's, item
building
3,
Was it under for Lena's technology?
no,
No?
no, keep
Is
going.
after that?
I think it's,
Let's see.
it's after that. Okay, it's towards the end. If you
What
go,
item number?
it's like the second to last page, 16.
Item 16?
It's on the next
Okay,
page
got it.
at the very top. It's, and you could look at the video if you want, but it says that Selectman Texera noted that the lawyers listed in the Day Pitney proposal are the ones she's familiar with. That's totally not right, because I am not familiar with them.
Okay.
I said the Pullman and Conley lawyers were the ones I was most familiar with. So it just was not Dave Pitney, for sure.
So do you want us to just delete that entire sentence, that first sentence?
I mean,
At the
you
top
could,
of
you
that
could just
page?
change it to Pullman and Conley, because
Oh,
all of it,
okay.
all the rest of it is accurate.
Oh, okay.
That I
all
have
right.
not worked, didn't work with them on
Got it.
cases, so,
Okay, so just change Dave
Yeah,
Pitney to Pullman. and
right,
Conley. Okay,
right.
got it,
yeah.
got it.
And I
Okay.
think it's. I think that's it.
Okay,
That's all I had.
did you have anything?
Nothing on that.
Okay, we will, vote to approve with that amendment.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, all right. Next is the tax refunds. I did leave you a sheet with the tax refunds listed. Can I get a motion to approve these?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, I also gave Jen a copy, so she's got them to incorporate into the minutes. Any questions or comments? There are none, all in favor?
Aye.
There are no, thank you, there are no cemetery deeds, for this evening. And I did put an email from the town clerk with regard to the, candidate for the replacement on the town code review committee, Mr. Roloff. We didn't intimidate him too much. We discussed a lot on the meeting that he did attend. So he is definitely interested in, participating on it. And, we just need a motion and a second to approve him. And we can move forward, with having him.
What made him, what prompted him to go to the meeting, or why?
Well, he was invited to go. We had advertised in the bulletin for
Okay,
replacement.
okay, and he responded to
And he
that.
responded, we needed a you, and he responded, and we invited him to the meeting. And so at the end of the meeting, we asked him what he thought. We didn't scare him too much, because there was a lot of discussion that night. And, he's like, no, he thought he needed more expertise in a certain area or other. And we said, no, this is general conversation and review, and it's good to have all different perspectives, from the different residents on the committee. So, yeah, he was definitely interested in continuing. So we just needed to approve him, and, so he can officially be on. And then motion to approve him.
Did you get anyone else, or was it just the one?
There was one other gentleman, but he backed out. His work just, was too much for him to be able to really do it, so. So Mr. Roloff was our only one. So may I get a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
okay, any other comments or questions? I think Will kind of covered most of the info in his email, so. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic, thank you. Also in the packet is the calendar for the 25 meeting. It's usually 13 meetings that are listed. It goes into January of the following year. And you'll note that because we had the hiccup this year with the elections being on a Tuesday, Leslie thankfully caught it for next year, because next year's the municipal elections on that first Tuesday. So I automatically changed the date to the Wednesday so that it would be a regular meeting, because it's incorporated in this list.
Okay, yeah, that's a good
And
idea.
that's why we had to make this one a special one, because I didn't even think when I did this original calendar last year that it was going to be elections, and so we had to.
Did you verify like the Jewish holidays and what?
We're on Tuesday, so we're good. Yeah, there's nothing that's, I went through about 4 different
Yeah,
calendars.
but no, he's right, because they do shifts, so
Yeah.
let me just pull up October.
just to make sure
I'm-
that
Yeah,
always.
no, I
presents
had
us.
like.
No,
four-
it's the 2nd and the 13th of October, so you're okay.
I kind of had 4 different calendars in front
No,
of
I
me, trying to
know.
make sure I wasn't, impacting any other,
This is
Just good, just good to confirm.
yeah.
And none of these are Hallmark holidays, right?
None of these are Hallmark holidays, no, we're good, so, can I get a motion to approve the calendar?
So moved.
Second,
Second, all in favor?
I,
Okay, we have our calendar, I will file that with the town clerk, tomorrow. So that's great. 77 North Humeston Drive, I believe I was told that it was all taken care of. And, so there was no other, action that needed to be taken, and it's with the building department would be something through us, but it's just an update because we had that letter.
Yes,
And so there was follow-up with
so
it.
it's
and it
been
was taken,
resolved
yeah.
through the wetlands.
Yeah.
I spoke to the chair of the wetlands and she informed me of that.
It's resolved.
So we're good, Russell Road, we are still waiting for them with their personal end to clear up some items. So once they get their end resolved, we will be able to close and move on with that. I feel like it's sitting and waiting. The solar farm, once again, it is a private thing, but we're hoping to get some kind of notice that it has finalized, but we have not heard anything yet. So, Simpson property, we did, give them a deposit. I don't know, Ben or Leslie want to kind of give more formal details on that?
So since it's taking so long, to close, and it's not anyone individual fault, we're dealing with deep and they slow things down. They have estate issues because when Norman Simpson passed, the attorney handling the estate believed that Karen Simpson had a 50% ownership interest in the property. And so that estate, the probating of that estate conveyed to Karen 50% as opposed to 100%. Well, it turned out that Karen didn't have a 50% ownership interest. She had no ownership interest. And now she only has a 50% ownership interest. So as the title passed through to the sons who are now, owners of it, it did not properly convey because Karen, upon the closing of Norman's probate, only 50% conveyed to Karen instead of 100%. Then you had her probate, which conveyed to her children, but it didn't convey proper title because she didn't have 100% of proper title. This is it's, and it really is because, Sellers Counsel, Attorney Nichols, I've been working with, and what we did was, we also have, by statute, after 18 months, a contract becomes void so that you don't tie up title to land in perpetuity. So what we did was, we amended the agreement to extend the town's ability to purchase the property to the end of March of 2025. And because it was taking so long and, the seller wants to be able to benefit from this money before he passes, which his brother wanted to do also, but his brother ended up passing. So now we have a third estate that we're working with. We agreed, we had never given a deposit, and it's customary to give a 10% deposit when you're buying real estate. So we agreed to give a 10% deposit, and I'm working with Linda Francois, who's dealing with Deep and the Autobahn to get those grants to closure. And we are, I don't even want to put a time frame on it, but I'm afraid to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. We're optimistic. We use the word optimistic, so it can't be held against me, that we're gonna close this calendar year.
I can go back to the minutes when you said
Yeah,
so
I
many
know.
weeks, so many weeks, and it was more than those number of weeks ago.
I understand that, but you know what? In all candor, if I were a law school professor, I would take this and I would run with it because you never know what's gonna come up and you never know who's gonna pass. And we've had title issues, we've had deaths, and we've had grant issues here, all out of the town's control.
So does this affect the grants at all?
No,
Okay,
no,
No.
is there a
Okay.
time limit on the grants?
no, well, we are actively working with Deep
Okay.
and the grant agreement, I believe, was sent to the AG's office. And once we get the grant agreement back, then that'll come to us and the first selectman will execute that. Then that'll go back to Deep, that'll be sent to the state treasurer for funding of the grant, and that'll take 4 to 8 weeks. Right, so it's with the state, it's, when it goes from one department to another, you have to consider 3 to 4 week
Right.
lag time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take that back. We're in November now. We're not closing this year.
Especially with Christmas.
As optimistic as you
Yeah,
want to
I'm
be.
very optimistic
Yeah.
we're close, and,
Yeah.
Linda Francois has been wonderful, she's really been working magic to move this forward, but
And this all started, what, twenty
this
seventeen?
started back in 2015,
2015, sorry.
yeah, so, and there's more I could excite you with that
When
has
it's,
gone
when
on.
it's all done,
We're gonna
Who-
celebrate.
how is the title to the property? The town owns it, the
Town
land
owns it.
trust? Okay.
Town of it.
And the Bethany Land Trust will take care of it?
Well, I'm not gonna say who's gonna do what, I just wanna get this thing closed.
Yeah.
That'll be between the town and the.
The land trust.
No, but
the
it'll
keepers
be
of the-
a budding property, it'll be a budding Veterans Park and
Yeah.
the town property. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was somehow because of the different grants, if he had to,
All the
the
grants,
conservation easement, so someone else has, we don't have development rights.
no,
in the town.
there's a conservation easement in favor of the state and in favor of the Audubon Society.
Okay, so yeah, Audubon.
And there's a management plan that the Audubon Society requires that we enter into. So there will be a responsible party to manage the land properly.
So this will not be the affordable housing site,
There will definitely not be.
unless they're camping in the woods.
Right. But,
Yes.
so, yeah, so that's where we are at this point. A deposit has been given to the surviving owner at this point in time, and then hopefully we will be optimistic that it's
Yeah.
going to close.
We're gonna close.
We are gonna close. So, item 12 is on hold. Leslie, we are up to grants. So I don't know if you want to do your magic for that.
Well, just a couple highlights, item C, the Cabrera grants are finished. All we have to do is submit the final paperwork to close them out. The steep grant, has the construction portion that, RFP has been satisfied, and we have awarded the construction piece to, Taylor Construction. So they're working through the plans on all that right now with, the building and the fire marshal. And, we have received, the new trip grant guidelines, from Scrog. I have not read through all of the paperwork yet, but the new guidelines require cost sharing. So it is not a 100% upfront grant. I just have not read through all the particulars to find out if it is upfront money or reimbursement money. I haven't gotten through all the
We just,
paperwork on it.
when did we get the information? Was it?
2 days
I
ago.
was gonna say, it was not very long ago.
So I have not had a chance to get through all of it yet. That's all I have.
Okay, and being that this is a special meeting, we really cannot amend the agenda, so our next item is actually adjournment.
Oh, I just want to thank you for the, I saw the notice in the bulletin
About,
for the solid waste committee.
oh, yeah, yeah,
And so
Yeah.
it's,
I had a 2 or 3 responses so far.
okay.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Well, and if we don't get a large group, we'll put it back in for the December bulletin again. I mean, holidays are coming, so people may not be thinking, although when they have their wrappings from their presents, they may be thinking trash at that point, but right now.
But I thought it was a good post.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I thought,
well,
yeah.
Eric and I worked
Oh, good,
together on
good.
that. Yeah, no, yeah, it wasn't all me.
That's good.
Eric definitely
okay.
worked together on that, so.
How about,
Sure it was.
membership for the grants committee, grant study committee?
I have not heard anything yet.
No one volunteered, you mean?
No one has come forth to
Okay.
volunteer to serve on said committee.
Keep posting it.
But no one says no. No one has said no.
But
So maybe thing
Liz Appel has indicated that she would be willing to assist,
She's had some experience with.
but she does not want to
Right.
serve on a permanent committee for it, but she would
As a
assist
resource.
as a resource to help get us started.
Okay,
But you're still looking for members.
Oh, yeah, we're still looking.
and we could run it again, once again in the December, bulletin again, so.
Yes,
That's a good
we're st-
idea.
We're still looking.
Yeah, I know. I like the concept that, and I understand sometimes these things, they come out. Especially the ones that the US Congress had, unless they change the way they've been doing it, when they went back to the pork barrel projects or whatever they call them, earmarks. The congressmen, the senators all have a certain amount of money they're allowed to give out,
Mhm.
but it seems like they give like towns almost no time. So of course, the
Yes, we've
town staff
experienced that,
do the
yeah,
best they
yeah.
can to try to throw a project together, but then when you end up in front of a town meeting, people are like, who thought this was a good idea?
Yes,
And
we-
it has to do with how much time you had. So
Yeah.
the way it was explained to me is they'd look and see what are the town's needs. Maybe there's things that are wants and not needs, but if somebody else was gonna pay for it, would you, And then when the grants come in, if we had someone that matched, you wouldn't be.
Well, they always
Right.
talk about too, about having, what they call them, having them in the draw ready to go, having
Right.
certain projects sort of,
Yep, your
you
shovel
know,
ready
in line
projects.
that you're thinking ahead
And have
of,
done some
So,
vetting. I know it's always tough to get people's attention, but
right? But something to, hopefully we'll get some members for all these other committees, but, motion to adjourn?
sounds good to me.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, it is 7:25 according to the computer. Thank you for those who attended virtually. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.